Jamie and Jeff, thank you so much for taking the time to hop on the podcast today. They are down in Charlotte, North Carolina. You've got to look them up. They, oh my God, restaurateurs, TV personalities in my eyes, from what I'm watching. So I couldn't thank you both enough for taking the time to hop on today.
We are so glad to have this time, and I've got 2 Jeffs, so you guys are going to keep it real easy for me.
We'll make it nice and confusing, and it's always nice to be on a podcast that you listen to regularly. I love your podcast. I check it out.
Thank you.
I love learning about the dry aging stuff and the koji. I'm really into it right now, so I appreciate the guests that you bring on and all the knowledge you bring. So thank you.
From our conversation today, for everyone listening, what do you hope the biggest takeaway is going to be?
I hope that people get how passionate we are about this business and how much we love it and how much we care about hospitality. We know that, we serve over 1,000 people a day in our restaurants, and we get a lot of really good reviews, but every once in a while you get one that's not quite perfect and something we didn't nail. But I at least hope all those people know that we care about them, and we want every single person that comes into our places to really know that our staff is trying, we are working really, really hard to do everything at the highest level possible. And I just hope people know that we really care, and we try really hard.
Well, ditto on that for sure. But I think also I'm sure you have a lot of people listening who are in the business as well, and just maybe to walk along with us and know that we're on their side and understand what they're going through, because we face all the same challenges they're facing, whether it's, COVID from a handful of years ago to supply issues to, personnel hiring, labor issues, that we're on the same path. It's not like some magic sauce that we have here that everything's perfect and glowy and all that stuff, that we're going through the same stuff as them. And I love, what you're doing. It helps everybody to be able to learn and continue to grow and keep getting better. So
yeah, it's a small industry, small, big industry, as we say, and we got to help each other out. Now, Jeff, I just watched on, I think it was on your guys' podcast, you have proclaimed Charlotte is the city of hospitality.
That's right. Yes. Yes. Okay. I'm keep going with that.
Tell me,
city of hospitality.
Hit me with that. Where's the reasoning? Just give it to me.
Well, part of it is that when you think of Charlotte, what do you think of?
I think of, which is kind of ironic to be on, because I was just down there. So I was just down there for a conference at the conference center, and I actually stayed at an Airbnb just down the road, which was very nice. But when I think of Charlotte, like from when I went about 15 years ago, maybe 20 now, to now, completely different. But I just thought of like smaller, big city, like Indianapolis type with, a conference center and a basketball team. I didn't really think a whole lot other than that, to be honest.
So
we did not nail it for your bit, did we?
Yeah. Well, you got the Windy City, right? I don't.
They're also very much a restaurant city.
Yeah, you guys have a lot of stuff and a lot of history of like beef and cattle and all that stuff, and in the Midwest and Midwest produce, and you guys have a lot of fun stuff going on. We are a new city. We are, one of the fastest growing cities in the country. We have over 100 people moving here every day for 15 straight years. What do we have? 20,000?
No, it was 20,700 people just last year moved here. So it's pretty wild.
So we're a pretty dynamic, changing new city. So as we go to brand ourselves, I am really pushing for the city of hospitality. It is a lovely town. When you're driving on the roads, people look out for each other.
You get the friendly too.
Yeah, we're
on the road.
We let other people in, and it's not quite as hectic and crazy. Life still is a little bit easier here. You can, kind of get around and do things, and maybe get a dinner reservation in one of our places. And yeah, so that's what I'm going for. Our staff really exudes that. We try, and the restaurant scene here too is really cool. I think you see that we're the city of hospitality when you see us all get together as restaurant owners, that we all like each other. We're all friends with each other. It's not a competitive landscape. It's a fun group, and we're all kind of out for the same thing.
Well, and I think building on what you said, the whole notion that so many new people are coming here from potentially Chicago or New York or Pittsburgh and Detroit, Cleveland. A lot of people are moving here. And I think what that does is you're finding a lot of people who are looking for a home. And so you've got a lot of those people in the hospitality business too. And so there ends up creating kind of niceties. We're in a southern city, this is the Bible Belt, but it's, so you've got some inherent, southern hospitality there. But on top of that, there's a lot of new people, I think, who are looking for that home and bringing warmth to that.
When Jamie runs our marketing and when, I can't really present to her like the city of liver mush, city of Midwesterners that have moved south. Like it just doesn't. So city of hospitality is what we're going for. You like it?
Yeah, I feel like
you felt it when you were here, didn't you?
No, I definitely did. So that's what I was going to kind of piggyback off of. I was in and out for a conference, so I wasn't there very long. But when we did go out to dinner, I can't remember the name of the place we went to. It was some Italian steakhouse. But the hospitality was excellent, right? The food was good. Don't get me wrong. Food was great. But the hospitality was exceptional. They were very personable, and it felt like they were trying to actually have the relationship with the guest more than just, hey, I'm going to give you hospitality and be nice to you. Like we were cracking jokes back and forth because we had some folks from New Orleans with us. So they had that Southern touch as well. And it was just a really good time. And then, even just little coffee shops and stuff that I was able to, hit up just before the conference. Yeah, it definitely felt homey. Like I like that. I lived in north of Indianapolis for a little while, and it had that same type of feel to me where it's got some more pizzazz. It's got personality, but it's not so big that it's just like, goddamn, like trying to get around the city. Like I love Chicago and all, but getting around it is a pain. When somebody's like, oh, we're going to the city, I almost say, no, thanks. Like it's so much work. And so Charlotte really surprised me with, how much has been, and there's a lot of construction going on. There's a lot happening down there right now.
There sure is. And I think too, like because of the people that it's attracting, it is attracting a lot of Northerners and a lot of Midwesterners. Maybe there are those Midwestern values that are really planting themselves here, that are warmth, family friendly, kindness, generosity to others and all that. Jeff's actually from Cleveland and I'm from Pittsburgh. And so we're two examples of that too, just pretty simple upbringings and bring those kind of home values, family values down here too. So that could be a part of it too.
Now, Charlotte didn't have Michelin Guide or Bon Appetit or any of that when you guys started. Two-part question. What was the city already doing right food-wise, right, to kind of bring people? And then once it kind of got that established, do you think that's part of the reason too that some people, it is attracting some other folks where it's not such a big market where they could potentially make a name for themselves and not have so much competition that it's really hard to do?
Yeah, I think we've been doing a few things really right here in Charlotte. There are a handful of restaurateurs besides ourselves that are, doing awesome local concepts, and you find their names on that Michelin Guide as well. So Joe Kindred, for instance, he's got a couple of restaurants. Andres Keffer is another one who does. John Dressler has some, and they were already here. It's kind of the whole thing, when Oprah discovers a bakery, it's not like the bakery hadn't been there for a dozen years. It's just finally being seen. And I think that's what has happened is there has been a really great local scene of restaurateurs, and that made it worthwhile for Michelin to come here to the Southeast and rate this area for the first time. So we were lucky to have 3 of our restaurants end up on the Michelin Guide, not as starred restaurants, but as recommended restaurants. The style of food that we have doesn't lend themselves so well to having a star. We do more of a family style type of menu at each one of our places. So they're not necessarily as coursed menus that typically call for a star. But we are so glad to have them rate this area, including the surrounding areas of Greenville and Columbia, Atlanta, and so forth too. And the other big piece was Top Chef was here as well for their season 23. And that was an incredible experience. We got to be a part of episode 3. And so we had these absolute, icons in the food world in our restaurant, Supperland, enjoying food around the table with us. And those kinds of things, they just bring more eyeballs to Charlotte. But it's not like those beautiful food stories weren't here already. It's just the light started to get shined on it this past year.
I think one thing that happens with Charlotte is we're we're this crossroads. So we're kind of in this spot where culinarily we're not like, we don't have that like signature thing. We actually, a local newspaper person just kind of wrote, what's our signature thing? And we're this crossroads where we're an old Indian trading post, but it's kind of where the Piedmont, comes in, the low country from, Charleston and all that, meets here, and then Appalachia. So it's kind of where you have all three of these different cuisines meeting in the same spot. And so culinary, yes, we're not known for anything, but we have all this, like a big breadth of stuff to draw on. And we have a lot of really cool farms. We also have a company here called Fresh List, which aggregates 200 farms from Asheville to Charleston. And they're based here. So it's like a really awesome starting point too for all the chefs here, where, every Sunday you're getting texted what's really cool coming out from all the farmers, and you place your order on Monday and it's at your place Wednesday, and it's a great system that we have this like integrated right into our workflow, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that true farm to table, because while you can do it in places like Chicago or elsewhere, it's a different level to me of freshness when, to your point, the farms are only within, a 50-mile radius or 100-mile, versus where we're calling local 250, 300 miles. I'm like, we're basically getting stuff from Indiana, Kentucky and calling it local. And it's like, that's not really the case. So I love that you have that fresh local ability. And that's what I do love about, warmer states, of having fresh farms and things of that. So I want to talk about your actual restaurants, because they're not like a regular restaurant. After doing the research, all of them have been transformed. A church into a restaurant. What was it? A clothing shop? One of them was turned into a restaurant.
Wait, it had been a clothing shop. Yes, turned into a craft beer bar. Yes.
Yeah.
And
then the general store, and we have a lot of different stuff.
And we actually have two churches. We've got two churches.
So with when you reconstruct or redesign something that was not a restaurant, because obviously going from one restaurant to another, it's usually a little easier. You've already got usually a hood installed. You've got some guts that are there. But when you take a church and you turn it into a restaurant, what does the redesign process look like of that versus going from restaurant to restaurant?
Yeah, especially when you take an old church and you put a 14-foot fire grill in it and put a big live fire in the front. Yeah, it's not easy. It's tough, but I think we like working with this constraints, and this is a really hard problem to solve, and figuring out how to make it all fit and putting the puzzle together, versus here's an open piece of paper, draw whatever you want. I think that would baffle us.
Jeff, it's kind of like an artist who goes to begin to paint, and every artist knows, I used to do more art than I ever have time for now. But when you get to your canvas, you don't want to start with a white canvas because it's challenging. You just don't know where to begin. So sometimes it helps just at least paint it white or paint it a solid color or something, just to give yourself direction. And I think actually in these older spaces, while they're so much more complicated to work with, they have these inherent beautiful bones that we can work with. And it is a lot more constraining as far as where you put equipment and server stations and how you lay out the dining room. But it does give us these beautiful spaces that we can lean into for a story and for a menu and for creating the atmosphere that will really make guests want to come back again and again.
Now, are you guys keeping kind of that Southern tradition feel with the restaurants? I have not been in any of them, but it's one of my goals when I get back down there to get in to come visit. Is it like, are you keeping that tradition? Like, are you bringing, even technology on the kitchen side, like in the kitchens, or is it like you said, there's live fire out front, which is more that primitive way? Like, what's the happy medium balance, or are you, again, are you all kind of old school or adding technology into your kitchens?
We definitely are integrating both. We use Toast as our POS system. Jeff is very big into technology in general. It just helps with workflow and information and helping us make better decisions. Supperland's a unique one. That's our restaurant that has the 14-foot fire grill. And that one is really unique because when you walk in, that whole dining room, it's a former church. So the whole space is just this wide open dining room space. And, some of the seating is pews and they're long aisles. And your eye is really drawn to the back of the space where we have this fire cooking. And that entire upstairs kitchen is all fire. So we've got a wood-fired oven and we have that 14-foot fire grill. Now downstairs, we have a pastry room, prep room, dish, saute. All of our ovens and everything are downstairs. But really to create that atmosphere upstairs, what we show is that fire cooking. So it is a little bit of a show. It's our show kitchen. It's what really creates a lot of the ambiance, having that live fire. But we love having the necessary things that we need downstairs to really bring that full menu to life.
And every one of our places has like a unique sense of place because of the buildings that they're in and all that. But it's not necessarily Southern. Some of them are. So Haberdish, our fried chicken and cocktails, obviously a lot of, Southern touches. Supperland, which is, the shortest way to call it is a Southern steakhouse, but it's a Southern steakhouse with church potluck sides and those kind of things. But we're also not afraid to kind of push the envelope, move things forward. We find a lot of unique local ingredients where the largest organic miso manufacturing facility in the world is outside of Asheville, about an hour and a half away from us. And the exec chef and I visited there, had an awesome time, an awesome tour. So we have a miso mac and cheese on the menu, which people don't look at as local, but it's like, here's our umami bomb, mac and cheese that goes great with our steaks. And then the same thing, we're, one of the biggest caviar sellers in between all of our places in Charlotte and in North Carolina. We get our caviar from a farm in North Carolina that's all indoor aquaculture inside, and Marshallburg Farms does an incredible job with Russian sturgeon that they raise and do that here. So some of those things that you're like, that's not a North Carolina thing, and we're like, no, it is, and it's not that far away. It's in our state, and they do a cool job. But we get that sense of place, we get that story, and we have everything we have an Italian concept as well. We have kind of a steak and surf place that gets more heritage from kind of coastal America than maybe, right here, although we use a lot of local ingredients. We have a little deli and a craft beer bar. So kind of hit all facets, but we like to do it the hard way. And,
well, I would say,
different.
Yeah, doing it the hard way, but also like you just talked about being progressive. Like 2 of your places have been like redone, right? Olivelli Deli was the crepe restaurant, and then what was the other one?
So Ever Andalo was crepe seller, our first restaurant, and we switched that up after COVID, and then we've just kind of gone through the phase of we closed Raining Donuts down, our little walk-up window donut shop, and what kind of like the donut vault that you have in Chicago is what it was modeled after. And then we just turned that into Olivelli Deli, our little sandwich spot that you walk up to, and is going crazy. It is crazy over there right now.
But you had enough foresight to make those changes, or was it the conditions of the markets, the economy saying, hey, this just isn't working anymore for the people that are in that space to make those changes?
They're kind of different stories. Looking at Crepe Seller, for instance, so we operated that business for 13 years profitably, which is a pretty incredible thing. That was an interesting situation where in 2019, Jeff and I had both looked at each other and we were like, I feel like we should make this place fresher or updated or something. And he one night looked through all the numbers. He's like, James, I know that sounds like a good idea, but this place is off the charts. It's profitable. We've got a lot of people in there. It's doing awesome. Well, then COVID happened and it literally could not get back up off the ground. It was just an 18-table restaurant and was struggling in that way a lot with morale. We had some turnover with COVID, all this stuff. But on top of that, on a parallel path, we had just opened up Supperland as well. And so we had and Haberdish several years prior. So we had a really talented team. And so we were looking at it. We're like, you know what? We could really transform this place using the talent that we have, create something much better, push the food scene further along here in Charlotte and do that by creating a totally new concept. Now, it took a lot of guts to close something down that even when it started struggling after COVID, it was still profitable. It just didn't have like the lift and the energy that has legs to make something really thrive and allow our employees to thrive too. So we did a really scary thing, which was to shut it down and reinvent it over the course of a crazy timeline of about a month and a half. And we reinvented the entire thing and relaunched as an Italian concept. So, and that has proven to be incredibly valuable. The place does about 3 times revenue wise what Crepe Cellar had been doing. And it also has the energy uplift. It's on the Michelin Guide as well. In the case of the donut shop, do you want to talk about that one? Because it's similar, but
because once a machine breaks enough and you get sick of it, you're like I am not fixing that anymore. But no, yeah, just a slightly different scenario in that donuts are super profitable. I mean, it was a really cool concept. We loved the brand. We still like, I'm not wearing the t-shirt now, but we like wearing the t-shirts around. I think our little boy was wearing one today. But it just got hard. The oil just kind of leaks into the whole restaurant. Like, it's really hard to filter all that out. We kept spending more money on filters and all these different things to kind of keep it fresh back there. And it just got to be too much in 82 square feet, and the machine kept breaking. And ironically enough, the machine broke an hour. We went to go to the last service of Brainy Donuts. We brought our kids there. We're going to have the last donuts coming off the thing an hour and a half before
the thing died again.
Died.
We were like, oh,
no,
exactly.
And we're like, really, this is why we're closing, because it's just hard. And of course, it always would break on Friday night, and you're just disappointing people and that kind of stuff. So,
but I think both are an exercise in just like being proactive and seeing, okay, this is working, but maybe not perfectly. Can I make this better? And do we have to have the leadership and the gall to close something down and begin again? Because and scrap what you've done, kill your darlings, as they say in the writing world, and begin anew. And that's something we've had to do those 2 times to start.
And on a side note, one of the really cool things that came out of the pandemic is our team is fantastic at doing all of the tasks that you only normally do when you open a restaurant. So normally you make a seating plan the week before you open, and you have all your tables and you have it designed. But during COVID, we were making, new seating plans every few weeks as the rules changed. We have this many tables, this many tables, right? And then we're also, as when you open a new restaurant, you have your hours, and then you change your hours as you can handle more and more. You change your reservations as you can handle more and more. And when we went to open Ever Andalo, somebody's like, "Oh yeah, see, like we're in the meeting and the seating plan's done." Like,
we're so nimble. We became so nimble.
We're talking about the hours, and before the meeting's over, the hours are adjusted on Google, Apple, like our website. Like it's all done, just because we have that skill set now, and we're just so good at doing it that it was crazy. So it's just kind of one of those gems that came out of a horrible thing. So there you go.
Amazing. Back to the roots a little bit. I know a lot of it's online, so everyone watching, listening, go to YouTube, watch they tell their story in depth. But I just want to ask a little bit about when you guys backpacked across Europe and Asia for 8 months. I mean, now looking at it with kids, I could never imagine something like that. And obviously it was before the children. But what were some of those lessons that you learned during your time over there? And for those listening that don't know, like Jeff and Jamie have no background in food. That is not their background. It's not your typical story of working in the dish pit and climbing their way up. It's like, no, this was kind of born out of, I think, from that trip out of Europe. So maybe just kind of touch a little bit on that and then how those just kind of started.
Sure. So Jeff and I were both working very corporate jobs here in Charlotte, North Carolina. I was working for Lance Snack Foods, and Jeff was working for a race team. And we had both been there at those companies for 4 to 5 years after we had finished business school. And honestly, both of our careers were going great. Like, this was 2006, 2007, everything in the world was just like flying high. I had been given a new opportunity at the same company to move into a higher position. You were getting opportunities to take on more sponsors. Like, it was like a really good time. We had gotten married, and we looked at each other one day and we were like, I think we're supposed to do something else, but we're not sure what that is. And so it was very much like kind of looking at each other and being like, do we dare like drop everything and go find ourselves? And we did that. We literally gave our notices. Now, this was at the peak of the economy. We gave our notices, packed all our stuff up in storage, got rid of everything else. And we had each a backpack and a roller bag. And this was before smartphones. So we actually had maps in our bag.
And travel books.
Nice.
And travel books. Yes, it's wild to think about. We had little flip phones, and then we knew we would just call from payphones along the way, and we
Pick
did.
up SIM, like burner phones, SIM cards and things.
Yes. So we went over there. We spent those 8 months traveling around, mostly around Europe, also over in Japan and Korea as well. And eventually, after all of those experiences, well, while we were gone, we had started having some conversations about, wouldn't it be fun if when we came back, we opened up a little restaurant, and we would talk about this for hours, specifically in this little town called Tarifa, Spain, which is the southernmost tip of Spain, a beautiful place. And they had so many little independent restaurants there. Okay. It actually also happens to be a town they mentioned in one of my favorite books, which is The Alchemist, is Tarifa. But we started talking about the idea of opening a restaurant, but then you come back to the States and we are flooded with the news that it is a recession. And I took the first job I could find in retail. Like, let's just get some money, get a studio apartment and begin again. He started teaching tennis. And one night he took me to dinner at this little pizza shop here in Charlotte. And he said, so I've decided I know what I want to do. I want to open that restaurant. And I was like, that's adorable. Do you know what I mean? Like, adorable, but can't happen because I'm working retail. We are in a studio apartment. We've talked about the idea of having a family. Like, this is not going to work. Well, he started looking for spaces. And rather than saying no, I just went with him to see, like, how is this all going to go? And eventually we found this space over in an artsy area of Charlotte called NoDa. And it basically, we had stumbled upon it because there was a pink slip on the door and
They hadn't
paid their gas bill. So that began the journey of opening up our first restaurant. So when that started queuing up, I went out and got a full-time job so he could play restaurant, as we like to say.
Where do you think that fortitude came from, though? Like, not everybody, even if they drop something, says, let me just open a restaurant. Where do you think that came from, whether it be from your upbringing or your time away finding yourself? Where did it come from?
I think entrepreneurship is, maybe you're born with it a little bit or you learn it along the way, but I think it was we're deeply rooted with us. I mean, I have my MBA. I majored in entrepreneurship and finance. So like you kind of see it in that part of wanting to build something, create something, do something yourself. But it really, when kind of going back and looking at what our skills were and our goals and really spending that time and being lost for a year and you're like, oh, we'll find ourselves, and you don't. And then you come back and you got to get a job. But really, then at that point, you're like, well, what do I care about? And I cared about food and I love food and was a big foodie, but that's like the worst reason to start a restaurant, right? I mean, that's not why you start a restaurant. And so it really, though, came down to hospitality, which is why, that's something that we care so much about. Is hospitality was the main driver, wanting to curate wonderful evenings for people, wanting to create date nights, wanting to have awesome meals and make sure people have fun is really like what drives us and is like embedded in what we do.
And I do think there are only certain people, and it could be a genetic thing or like the way that you were raised, that are willing and able to stomach the risk. Mm-hmm. For sure. There's, I look back and I'm like, woo, I can see why my mom and dad were not so thrilled with the idea, but I think we were young and maybe dumb and naive enough we didn't know that it wouldn't work out too.
We had already given up all of our possessions and moved everything into a storage locker and, came back. And
we had nothing to lose.
Yeah. And so we were just, we were in this place where we didn't have a lot to lose. So we were just like, this is the time. Let's go for it. I could
see how passionate he was about the idea too, that there was part of me that I couldn't bring myself to say no when I could tell how passionate he was about it, that it was kind of like, Jamie, your job right now is just to go get a job so that we can pay rent in our studio apartment, and let him like kind of spearhead going out and figuring out what's next for us. So it was kind of like very much a team thing. And sometimes I look back and I'm like, I wasn't always present there when we were opening the restaurant, but I think in part it was me needing to go do something else to support us so that he could do that and get us settled in that space. It took a good 6 years before I was able, before we were able financially to have me leave another job to come over to our family business. It was when we signed the lease on Haberdish.
And I don't even know then if we were making what we were making previously.
We weren't.
No, right? You're like, it's crazy, the sacrifice to do something like that. But
it's funny how
I love the journey. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah.
No, I was going to say, it's funny how, although like money at some point just becomes a number, right? To some degree, and self-fulfillment and happiness takes kind of its own life. And it's just interesting how, when you think, because I was on the same trajectory, corporate, trying to move up, and you hit this kind of pinnacle, you're like, oh, I'm making good money and things are great, but I don't know, there's just like something you feel not soulless, but like a piece of you is not there. And then like going on this entrepreneurial kind of kick has felt, I don't know, I feel reinvigorated. I feel like even though it's a grind, even though I feel like I'm probably doing 10 times more work than I said I didn't want to do, I feel more fulfilled, especially with the kids and being around and being able to be with them. And when it's like, hey, on a whim, like last night, it's like, hey, let's go to this place called Activate and just go run around as a family. I can do that. There's no one to tell me no. You can't. And it's great hearing that. And as I talk to more entrepreneurs of how they're just like, you know what, like it was something we had to do. The passion was there. And Jamie, for you to like recognize his passion for that and like let him just go. Because like you said, the boat's already burned. Like what else is there to lose at this point?
Right.
That's right.
Exactly.
That's right.
Exactly.
But I think that entrepreneurship mindset that you're talking about too, it's like, I think actually, even if you're not an entrepreneurial type, a lot of people have like this, everybody has a light within them, a desire to do something. It's whether or not they allow it to come to be. And that's where I think some people are open to it and some people are not. But I think everybody has these passions and desires. It's just a matter of, do you have the courage to go after it? Because, a lot of people are starting with a lot less than where you are and they can make it happen. So why not you? I always tell my kids, like, whatever that big dream is, it's not reserved for someone else. It's not like this person has a stamp on it and that's their destiny. They're choosing that and they're going through the hardship to get there. So if that's something you see for yourself, then go after it. It doesn't mean it's going to be easy. All those obstacles along the way that any one of us have faced, including ourselves along our rather beat up and down road, they're actually there to help you. And you think they're walls and they're trying to stop you, but they're there to help you along, and they make you the person that you're actually hoping that you'll become and the leader that you hope to become and to build the company that you want to create.
How do you both manage all the restaurants, the shows, the podcasts, and so much more while raising 3 kids?
That's easy. We have an awesome team. There's 330 people and we have 330 wonderful people, and everybody has a role. Everybody pitches in. We all work really hard. We're all in the trenches together. And it's just it's a great group. It's pretty cool.
It's certainly not perfect. You can imagine we have human beings, and with 330 people, there's probably about, would you say, about 50 people that are like core, been there a long time. But even still, sometimes they suddenly, even though they've been with you for a dozen years, I'm thinking about Dan, a dozen years, they suddenly get this drive to go and live in Hawaii. Do you know what I mean? Like this stuff happens, and they should go. And I think we hold on to our team very loosely. We love them and adore them and are so grateful to have them and how they help build each one of the places. But we also know we very much do not own them, and we don't own their hearts and their passions. And hopefully they find a workplace and a balance in, with our team, that they can live and be a part of it for however long that they want. And then we know sometimes people have to go on to other things. And ideally there's other people there that can step into their their path. So a lot of it, I think, is also the trust of those, the idea of 330 people. Sometimes the faces are changing too as we go, but we've been lucky to have a really strong core.
I love it when we have somebody that's been with us, 5-6 years and have really put their heart into something, and then they are kind of like, it's tough for them to, move on, and they want to do something else. And it's, it's always funny because I'm sitting down with them, like helping them negotiate their contract with their next, I'm like, you should ask for more. Like, like we have no problem doing that. We really care about these people, and, they're part of our team. And, after they put so much into the business, it's just kind of like your kid wants to go move somewhere else and, do their life and get started. You want to help them out. So.
Yeah, that's the culture you've built, though. I did the same thing, in the corporate world in my kitchens, and I ran fairly large universities. So you have big teams, 100, 150. And it was the same way. Is they'd be like, chef, I got this opportunity for this place. I'm like, well, we've trained you up so you can go. Like, go. Yeah. Like, you deserve it. And it was, I don't know, maybe it's karma, but I feel it's like a culture that's built that people feel safe because they know that if they need to go, they can. Not the dreaded restaurant where it's like, well, if I leave, then they're going to be mad or they're never going to want to speak to me again. So I feel like you've built a culture of safety for these employees that then allows you guys to really thrive and do more.
I hope so.
And yeah, some of them too, they're like, I really need to go to New York and I really want to, work in these places, and I got the job and they're putting me through this training program. I'm like, great, you should go do that and we'll see you in 3 years. And you'll be back here, and just let us know when you want to start a family and come back to Charlotte, and we got you. So
nice.
Yeah.
All right, pivoting a little bit. Fork and Hammer, on PBS. Like, how does a TV show, right? You've got these restaurants rolling, and now somebody comes to you and says, hey, you know what sounds great? Let's have a TV show. How does that come about?
Well, what's interesting is it actually I'll say, I don't know, started about 7 years ago or so. We had a couple of different agencies reach out to us who are interested in doing some sort of documentary storytelling with a restaurant group. They didn't pan out so much, and a lot of it was because there was more focus on like the drama of things, and that's something that doesn't fit us so well. So when this production company came to us, they're called Susie Films. They're here in Charlotte. They came to us and said, hey, we've been following your story, and we think this could be something that would be really interesting to pitch out there. Would you be interested in being a part, in doing something like this? And we thought, well, yes, let's see. They pitched it out to a number of different places, from Magnolia to the Food Network to PBS. And PBS really took hold of the idea and thought that this could be something that could go somewhere and could be on a national basis. And to us, that audience and that format really fit kind of what we're more about. We're family friendly. We like things to be more about business and the challenges that we're working through, or the food and the hospitality and the teamwork, as opposed to the drama of people, of this person's dating this person and they throw a tomato at this person and they're angry and there's pots flying and all that. That was not really our style. So this felt like a good fit. So we opened our doors to it, and it's been great. They've been a wonderful group to work with, Susie Films has. And what's been cool is this first season was 10 episodes. They're 26 minutes long each. It runs across the country on local PBS stations. Media has changed a lot over the years. So have restaurants, but media has also gone through a lot of changes. There's been some really incredible opportunities that have opened up. So we are on those local channels with our program running. And then we're also on Create TV. And then we got permission to run it on YouTube. So we've been launching the episodes every other week. So that's on our producer's channel, Susie Films. So you can find those stories there. And then we just got approved to move into American Airlines in-flight, which will start later this fall, which will be fun. And then there's some other things in the works with different streaming platforms that are potentially going to use some PBS food content on their channels as well. And some of those are just contracts haven't been signed yet. So we're in the middle of filming for season 2. There are a lot of I know it's exciting, a lot of challenges with it too, because PBS is all funded by sponsors. So this has been a new journey for us. I'll say most of the weight feels like it
That's
falls
your
on
job.
me, but finding sponsors and partners to work with to actually produce it. And, a lot of it, that's with the production company and SCETV, who's the presenting station out of South Carolina. But we help as well with the fundraising. So, finding the right partners. And the first year we had Trust 20 and Biltmore Wines, the CRVA, and then the ETB Endowment. And we're working on the sponsors for season 2 to finalize them up in October. So if anybody's out there,
if there are any
you reach out.
sponsors out there that would like to partner with an Emmy-nominated television show, hit us up.
That's right.
Yeah, and it's well produced. I was watching episodes, and it is very well put together. Just from somebody who's kind of like gone into, I do some videography and do some stuff on restaurants. It's really cool how they did put it together, and I like the style. I like the format because it doesn't feel stagnant. It's very fresh, and your guys' take, and then seeing you both, like when you made the centerpieces for the restaurant, and you're literally drilling a hole into it. I'm like, okay, these two, they get their hands dirty. It's not just we hire a bunch of people. Like, you're in the thick of it, and the wallpaper being their own color. Like, it all tells a bigger story about who you are, and it's been really fun to watch.
Well, thank you so much.
It's been fun to do as well, because we have so much going on, and so many things, and so Susie Films just wants to know our schedule, and we're like, okay, we're doing this, and they're like, oh, we got to be there on that day, and so then it's pretty fun, and the best part though is showcasing our team. They really love it. They love to get the highlight on there, and it's awesome to show them off and how good they are at their craft. I love the show when Michael, our sommelier, is talking to tables and stuff. And you're like, yeah, he is that good every single time someone asks about a wine, at the table. Like,
so
he's awesome.
we'll be heading at the end of October to Los Angeles to hear how the Daytime Emmys go. We're up against, there's 5 different shows that are in the Outstanding Culinary Cultural Series. So we're nailed it. We're just excited to be considered for an Emmy in the first place. So it's super exciting.
That just sounds really fun. Okay, so we've got restaurants, we've got a show, we've got a podcast. Why not throw a book into the mix?
There we go.
With writing a book.
That's my own fault. That's my fault.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about 11 Tables, a wild ride through food, failure, and figuring it out.
Sure. So I love to write. I have written since my early 20s, different projects, and usually books that never come to be honest. But this was one that felt very, I don't know, maybe imperative to share, mostly because I wanted it to really be geared towards entrepreneurs of any kind. The book is called 11 Tables, and that really centers around our first restaurant, Crepe Cellar Kitchen and Pub, that just had 11 tables to start. And it's kind of about our journey from there to here, and it shows the ups and downs of our road. It gets very personal there in some parts and talks about what has worked, what hasn't worked, what we've learned. And my hope is just that anyone can see, even if they're not an entrepreneur and they just have a dream to, become a ballet teacher or to write a book or to, start a coffee shop, whatever it is, that they can see that none of this is perfect for anyone. Nobody's road is just paved in gold. You just, a lot of it's about mindset. A lot of it's about sticking with it. A lot of it's about adapting and evolution. And I felt that a lot of those stories could really help other people.
I think just like Setting the Table is a great book for if you work at a bank, how to treat customers and treat people and treat your employees. I think this is a great vehicle to show through opening restaurants, the entrepreneurial spirit and how we grew. And it's just a really cool story that has application outside of the restaurant business, even to any entrepreneurial venture.
What's on the horizon? What's new? What's next for Jamie and Jeff?
We have, so we're filming season 2 right now. We just got the sandwich shop open and finished that switch over, and we are building out the restaurant that we moved. So on the 7th episode of Fork and Hammer, you'll see us pick up a building, the oldest building in the part of town called South End, and we drive it down the street 750 feet, drop it off in our parking lot. So we're still
That's simple.
yeah. So just real easy, just one day. So we're still building that restaurant out, and we're gonna, talking to you about doing some dry aging and doing some cool stuff in there and pushing the envelope forward, looking at dry aging some fish and that kind of thing. And so the team's really excited about that. The next challenge for them culinarily. Also, switching gears a little bit, and we'll have a tasting menu rolling in that building. So kind of some fun stuff going on there. And then we also bought another building. So we're working on building out our commissary. So we'll have a place that we're going to prep for all of our restaurants, streamline, hopefully get our consistency locked in, but doing all our butchering, stocks, and cocktail making even. We spend a lot of time making cocktail syrups and cocktail things. So just kind of having that in a central location, but that's going to change how we operate. It's going to move every single chef around, prep person around, change our software stack. We got a lot of things in that picture. And then we're looking at a whole bunch of new opportunities. We, working on some things for 2029 even. We've been negotiating, looking at some things for some hotels and some other stuff. But we have so many fun things coming our way now. And so really, I think we're going to be defined probably more by what we turn down than what we accept. So I think we're just trying to pick things that we're jazzed about and excited about, and that we think the team's going to like. So
yeah, when you're ready for the aging, let me know. I feel like that's a great time to come down, do some hands-on training for me to get some true Charlotte hospitality. So I feel like that's in the future works,
you're
coming up. So Jamie, Jeff, thank you so much for taking the time to hop on today. Everyone listening, watching, just go to YouTube, type Jamie Brown, Jeff Tonidandel. You'll find them easily. The YouTube channel. Check out their podcast, Jeff and Jamie Feed. Right? Is that did I say
That's
that
right.
right?
You got it.
Okay. And then check out the PBS show, because it is really cool to watch, to see the story and you guys, some of the topics that you guys talk about. So I can't thank you enough again for taking the time out of your busy schedules to just chat and hang out with me.
We love it. Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks so much for having us.
All right. So we'll put everything in the show notes, and until next time, we'll catch you on the sunny side.